Got this Whelen power supply, strobe light power supply. Model number A1610-TS-DF is 14 to 28 volts. 28 volt DC, 2 amps. Manufacture date was January of 1991. Well, this thing has 2 rivets here and 2 rivets here, and I believe these had screws here. I'm not sure. They were already taken apart before I got them. So they just drilled out the rivets here and took the screws out. More or less standoffs, what they are. And here's your power supply. Got the circuit board like this. You got the main plate, which be able to take off, but if you take the 4 screws off the bottom here on each corner, you'll be able to lift the board up. Now, if you see this mark here, that's indicating that there is a blown component, in which there is. By this little coil, there's this diode. There's a diode next to another diode, and there's this coil right there. You can see that diode got scorched. Also, an additional, this transistor on the other side of the diode, he is shorted, and I will have the part number for that in the video description. I checked this guy here, and he did not look shorted. I do have its part number. It is D44H11. So if your part number there gets fried, that's where that one is. I separated the circuit. I just trimmed the leg up, pulled it up, and this transistor still has a short on it. Its number that I see on the transistor is A416C337. I don't know if that's the part number verbatim, but that's what I read off of it. The diode, I'm going to pull off the diode next to it and see if there's anything there. And then I'll order replacement parts for these. I don't see anything else that is shorted. The Zener, that's just, I'm guessing this is a Zener diode. It doesn't appear to be shorted. I'm going to try and check out the other transistors in the circuit, these 2 here. The FET that's on the casing, he was fine, there's nothing wrong with him. So, and that is a tip 35T. I can't make out the last number, but it's tip 35 something. Anyway, so far this is what I've found, is this diode here and that transistor being shorted. So I looked up this part number here and I couldn't find nothing, but I did look up C337 and it came across BC337. It's an NPN transistor, and the diode is a 1N4005. You can buy the diode 1N4005, get that at Radio Shack, and I crossed this BC337. It was NTE cross-referenced, and it came out to be NTE 123AP. I also happen to know that the MPS 2222 crosses over to the NTE 123AP. So I'm going to use this transistor for the substitute for this guy. I'm going to change out the parts and the diode and See if that takes care of the issue. Changed the diode and put the new one back in. I left this transistor in, and because the reading across the 2 points here was this resistor here, and that's what I was getting my low resistance. So I'm going to leave him in there for now. I took him out of circuit, and he was checking fine. These two were checking fine after I took this diode out that was shorted. Pretty much right now, the next step I'm going to do is put it back together. I'm going to hook it up to the power supply. And we're going to see if it smokes again, if it doesn't smoke, if it works. If it works, I'll be happy. Okay, I got the voltmeter set up. Power supply behind it. The Strobe power supply is behind it. And I have my bench power supply. I have it set up this way that I can test the voltages. Put the diode in. Let's see what happens. Got my 240, 260, 269. I see that thing's working. I'm going to put a bulb in it. Once that thing drains down, yeah, the only thing I did was put that diode in. In the video I showed you before, I had the diode rotation within the wrong direction. The anode should be facing away from the board, and the cathode at the end of the board. So once this capacitor is what it's discharging, once it gets done discharging, I will take it apart. I'll take it out of its case and show you what I'm talking about. But all it was just the 1N 4005 rectifier diode you can get from Radio Shack. It holds a pretty good charge. Alright, I'm going to cut the video. When it gets done charging, I'll show you the right orientation for that diode. Okay, the way I showed you in the video before, I had the white line, which would be your anode. I had the diode sitting in this way. With the correct way, which I would only get 0.268 volts output after I had done it that way. But the correct way is having a diode this way. The cathode on the back side, facing toward the outer side of the board, and a line of this, your anode, facing the inside of the board. And that'll fix it. So I'm going to put this back together and plug the bulb into it. Got a bulb with it. So that the strobe works. And I'll ship it back to its owner. Okay, I got the bulb in. I'll power it up. Very bright. Blinding. So now you know your power supply working. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.